So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to one of Federico II historical rooms, and welcome from the Department of Public Health of Federico II University. I am pleased to introduce Professor Maria Triassi. She is the Dean of our medical school, and she is keen to welcome the participants to our construction because she thinks this is the future.
Thank you very much, Professor Ilario. I am Dean of School of Medicine of Federico II University, and I am very pleased to introduce this convention today in this very fine situation. It's difficult to reach, but it's very fine. So I give you a few words of introduction. The cost action net age-friendly is a part of ongoing efforts at a local, national, and international level to build ecosystems aimed to promoting health and well-being in a digital world. So suitable for all ages, inclusive and equitable. So health is the greatest wealth. The pandemic has reminded us the constant commitment of public health systems to protect health and the well-being of communities. And requires coherent and coordinated actions across different sectors. The integration between training, research, and the service, health service, that characterizes the School of Medicine of Federico II University Hospital, also Hospital University, is an added value to achieve that digital and environmental transformation that we can no longer defer, and is a fundamental element for delivering health services for the future. We have also our School of Medicine engaged in UNESCO Shire of Federico II in a strong action synergic with the public health objective of the school, and also contributes to the third mission of the Federico II University. An example of successful internationalization is, in fact, facilitates the change of innovative good health practice and contributes to building local ecosystems connected nationally and internationally, dynamic and flexible, resilient and sustainable. European cost actions play a very important role in building international collaboration. Today is an example of this collaboration we are building to define some objectives for public health in the future. Thanks to the Net for Age-Friendly Partners, to whom I welcome for participating in this workshop, which is the first of, we hope, a series of meetings dedicated to interdisciplinary research between health, environment, and technologies. So we need to govern the ecological transition in the future. And other really difficult objectives we have at national and international levels for health, for training of doctors and health professionals, and we must respond, we must answer to this objective in a very high quality of training, health and research. Thank you very much, and good work for today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Triassi. And I would like also to bring you a warm welcome from Anna Iervolino, the CEO of our hospital, who was supposed to be here today but could not attend due to institutional other institutional demanding meetings. So I would like now to invite Karina Dantas, the coordinator of our cost action. And Karina, most of you already know Karina. Please, Karina. She has been involved in the digital transformation of health and care, I think, for more than 10 years now. And she is an expert in social impact, in ensuring that the product of the research projects can be transferred and adopted, generating a social impact. So Karina has had a forward look before the pandemic on integrating these different dimensions of health. So the floor is yours, Karina.
Thank you, Madalena.
You can turn on the microphone.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the kind invitation. It is such a pleasure to be in a place like this talking. I think it can only... Whatever I say, I think it will be nice, because this is the best environment to do it. So thank you so much to Federico II for the invitation. As a very special thank you to Madalena and to the team, because you did such a wonderful job in hosting us. Madalena has been extremely active in our action, and Federico II is really a valuable partner in all of the work we do. So thank you so much, Madalena, for this. If you don't mind, because we are away, otherwise we will die. So I now understand that I won't be able to control my slides, but we will connect. So after having this kind appreciation for the way we were welcome either here and in Capri, I can only say that I really hope that this is also a departing point for our collaboration in SAFE to get stronger, because it already exists. It is, as we said, a strong collaboration, but it is very good that we have more local stakeholders participating. This because, as Madalena was trying to introduce before, the concept of SAFE was born because for many years we were discussing locally at our country and at the European level that we decide so many things in silos. For example, we were doing digital projects for older people, and then we would find out that some things could not be implemented because the houses didn't have the conditions to implement them, or that public services could not reply the way they were expected. And this implies so many times spending public money in research projects that, unfortunately, after their end, cannot be really used by the citizens. And what we want is that citizens use them. So all of these thoughts were then combined in a fancy word called SAFE, which would mean smart, healthy, age-friendly environments. And the idea behind this is that we should think digital together with health and care, and this is also social care, and the built environments, either our houses, even the mobility, the public services and places, the streets, etc. And this is very inspired, of course, in the model of age-friendly communities of the WHO, but it brings a little bit more in terms of the digital part, which was not that present some years ago. So in 2017, we proposed the Commission to have this thematic network, which is a network where a number of different stakeholders come together and propose a joint statement to the Member States and to the European Commission. So Willeke and I started this. Willeke will join me in a bit. Small, let's say, but apparently the idea had some impact in the other organizations, and during the process of this thematic network in 2018, we gathered around 160 organizations that developed the joint statement to the Commission with us. And this, well, after it was ended, it was only 1 year, we said, well, we have so much commitment, maybe we should continue, and so we did. And thank you. And at that time, we thought, okay, we delivered a policy paper. It was this. It had 5 main areas. We were supposed to have this shared vision where decisions are made not in different ministries, not in different departments, but with joint forces trying to address a problem with all of their complementarities and having people talking together. But then, of course, for this, we need collaboration. And we know that so many times collaboration is not easy, very often even within our own cities or regions or etc. So there was the need to identify the actors we need to put together and to have them collaborating. But of course, this means very little if there's no money. So funding should also be an issue. And of course, also to empower this, we would need research and we also need the citizens. And here the idea is mainly to try to bring awareness to all of the citizens that they can also bring something back in their lives and try to instigate authorities, services, stakeholders in general to do more. And for this they need to be informed, they need to have good lives, and they need to ask for what they think it is important in terms of the public services. You can pass, Magdalena, thank you. So at the end, our main idea was to try to promote as much as possible these environments in different places that would adapt to people, and not having people adapting to services, but having the services, the cities, and all of the tools that we provide adaptable to their needs. So this means something that can grow with a person. It doesn't need necessarily to be built for an older person. If it is well built for a child, an adult, etc., and it is somehow inclusive, accessible, and able to be tailored, it can accompany a person throughout the life course. And this is a little bit the basis of SAFE, is that if we design things well, they will adapt to different people. We can then work on the specificities, but they would be inclusive. And this is smart, healthy, and friendly environments. So then, and near the conclusion, the pandemic came and everything turned digital. And this is, of course, it has its good points, because otherwise maybe we wouldn't have gone so digital if it wasn't a pandemic. But there are so many things we still need to address to have actually digital that works for everyone. And some I have already discussed, like having public services that work better with integrated pathways, that we have built environments like houses being retrofitted and public services being accessible, but we also need to empower people by providing them literacy, education, by access, because not all people have the same financial capabilities, and this needs to work together. So, with all of this policy agenda, we continue the work thinking that the two main angles would be, on one side, cooperation. This is what we are doing here. And then we would work for implementation. And this is what we expect. So, it isn't enough for us to be discussing this. We do hope that in the different communities, things are being done. And are being done because this is our objective. It is to serve people and to provide them a better world. So we did have a number of main goals for our work now in the last 2 years. I highlight here one because I think it is interesting for you, which is to support public authorities, health and social care providers to implement things in their communities. And if you can, yes. And then also to try to find these different stakeholders that need to collaborate within your community. We identified 7 main stakeholders that we thought had different issues to address, and we are now trying to go one by one and promote the implementation of SAFE. And with this, I would pass the floor to Willeke, because SAFE, as I said, was a policy agenda, and we are trying to implement it through different initiatives and projects. One of them is Cost Action Net for Age Friendly. It is embedded in the concept of SAFE, and the idea is now to try to promote that different regions and actors learn from each other and go a bit further. So Willeke will come to present now Net for Age Friendly, and thank you so much. Shall I leave, stay? Okay, so we will stay with you then until the end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for the nice invitation to have this also the Net for Age-Friendly community presented. Indeed, one of the spin-offs of the SALVI concept is that we got a cost action approved, and this cost action already evolves. Let me see if I need to. Oh yeah, and that is started last year in the digital online period, and we are very happy that we were able to meet with a big support of Lorenzo and Maddalena to have a real face-to-face meeting in Capri. The main goal of our net action is to raise awareness and support the development of smart, healthy, age-friendly environments, and to present them for the future presentations. Yeah, I can see you. Yeah.
To the other screen.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's maybe better because I can just. Yeah. We address 4 main target groups in our cost actions. That is the citizens from all ages, not only all the adults but also others. Public authorities is the main target group, businesses and caregivers, and for the social care and the non-governmental organizations, and of course the academic and scientific world. That is also very important where we are now. At the moment we have 46 countries involved and 83 MC members appointed, so who are very active in our action. The objectives of the cost action is to learn from interdisciplinary and transnational approaches to good practices, and also to collect and share knowledge across this among different disciplines, because we, as Karina explained, SALVI is a holistic, inclusive approach, and so we want to approach all these different disciplines of scientific and extra work. Also, we want to give a boost to local and regional or national stakeholders, mainly by building up ecosystems at local level, and from there to grow the network and also to implement SALVI. And we want to also, as a whole, as a partnership, also actively be involved in calls and funding opportunities or business opportunities that we can find. Yes, thank you. The action contains of 5 working groups, and you can see it here in this flower. And the first working group is about user-friendly design. The second is about the integrated health and care pathways. And the third one is focusing on digital solutions. The fourth one is to bring all the strategies, funding opportunities and businesses together, and that is the working group 4. And finally, the whole thing where everything should to be united and harmonized and collected is the working group 5, and that is the reference framework, what we want to leave as a legacy to the future work further. What the recent success from our cost action is that we got acknowledged as a good practice by the United Nations for the Sustainability Development Goals. And this good practice was published online recently, and so we are very happy that we are acknowledged as this. And Karina was also invited to present our cost action as a special meeting from the cost community, so that we were there as this. I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A big applause for the achievement at the United Nations.
Yes.
Yes. So I would like now to invite Mario Lo Sasso to present, because Mario is a professor of the Department of Architecture, who is also the delegate for all the built environment that is in the community of the university. But he has a long time experience in community at the city level, and he has been a pioneer in this One Health concept that involves the built environment and the natural environment, how you call it, it's the world in between. So it's a pleasure. It was a natural extension of our SALVI community to engage the Department of Architecture in our efforts. So they already are active in Working Group 1. Mario, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Maddalena. Thank you for this opportunity. Are 2 years, I think, that we work, and it was Maria Triassi that invited me 2 years ago in a conference about the relationship between health and environment. We were in Centro Direzionale, I remember. And it was raining very hard, like during these days. I am with a group of architects, and our research is focused on environmental design as a part of the, as a player. Thank you very much. Player of the relationship with health and with people that live in urban spaces. Environmental design is very important because we know that people is in well conditions if environment is a well condition for people. I show you many slides in which we say that the shape of cities for health and health is also in the conditions of buildings, in conditions of open spaces, and of the system that buildings and open spaces constitutes. Environment is the life environment for people and for citizens. And cities are a part that have an interaction with the global environment in which we are a part, and we are the principal, in these times, the principal agent provocateur, like says in French, because our emissions of carbon dioxide, are in a not sustainable way. We live in districts, in urban districts, and we need that these districts became eco-districts for health and well-being. We have many goals you can read in the slide, because this is the period in which we know, Karina Dantas showed us the problem of, and also Maria Triassi, the problem of ecological transition. Ecological transition is a green transition, and we must transform our lifestyle and modify some use of the cities, of the districts in which we live. We need to improve indoor and outdoor air quality, but also the support and the services that allow this possibility. During the phase of progressive global warming, we know that we are about 1 degree respect to the industrial era. We have two actions, climate mitigation and climate adaptation, that are the similar possibility, that gave a similar possibility to connect with the goals of Agenda 2030. And we have many possibilities to matching, because the outcome of adaptation are in mitigation, in climate mitigation possibilities. come, ovvero how we have a possibility to realize eco-districts. We have many strategies that gave to people well-being conditions, from waste to 0 kilometers, and many possibilities in sharing economy and in circular economy. You see that a good eco-district has a different approach in lifestyle and in life organization. Self-sufficient cities, proximity space, ecological mobility, zero carbon district, climate-proof architectural quality, and we need a life cycle ticking. So processes are not linear processes, but are circular processes in which there are many disciplines that gave their contribution. So you see any architectural notes, and we have a new conception, for example, for 15-minute city and ecological mobility. Zero carbon districts, this is Life Z, a project in 2015 by Bill Dunster in London, but also Vicente Gallart for a self-sufficient city in which energy, food and low-tech are the constitutional fields that gave well-being, but also proximity spaces that are a new possibility that we know in the post-pandemic phases. 15-minute city means that we have performance but also services for people in 15 minutes, and we think that services are the most important thing in an eco-district. In Barcelona, we have an important situation because the small urban block became superillas, as say Spanish people, so they are super blocks in which there is the substitution of cars with pedestrian and cycling use, and also the urban greening gave capture of carbon dioxide, oxygen, and the adaptation against heat waves or heavy rains as one of the most important impacts of climate change. And these are new images for the greening of eco-districts, but also the building different retrofitting, as you say before, and all this organization from the buildings, from the home to building to open spaces and towards the district are the best way, we think, in environmental design for giving a contribution for health and well-being of people. We have many examples in Europe. Here we are in Paris, Batignolles, for eco-districts carbon neutral. And we studied with Planner Research, Valeria D'Amoroso is the coordinator of this work. We, for example, study also in measuring the carbon dioxide emissions before and after and a retrofitting intervention. And like carbon dioxide, we can study also, for example, pollution with the GIS platform. So we are very interested to Net4Age friendly and of this group, and we are very interested to the significant collaboration with many disciplines and also with the group of Federico II of Medicine School. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mario. It was a pleasure to hear about our keywords also in the built environment. So I would like now to bring a small change in the agenda. I will invite Gabriella Fabrocini to give her presentation because there has been a switch between her and Anna Maria Colau. So just a second.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Maddalena, to involve me in this so nice, exciting experience that I think can be very useful for all of us and for our patients and for our society. You asked me to talk about psoriasis and implication in psychology of this patient, so to stress how the environment and the lifestyle can be very important to ameliorate the condition, also to gain health. And so we know very well that the skin is our interface with the world, is the most extensive organ of the body. Also, if people doesn't consider, because it's not exteriority, is also a mark of some internal condition, bad condition, and that is for this reason that has a lot of implication of psycho-relationship. The next one. And is a certain normal function, immunological, sensorial, tactile, perceptive, pruritus, pain, sensibility. And there is a strong relationship between the skin manifestation and psychological and emotional aspects. The skin appears to be closely related with our central nervous system and its health to our lifestyle. So the key points in a pathology like psoriasis is the role of stress, diet, and physical activity in these patients. The psoriasis is a skin pathology strongly related to lifestyle and is called a dermatosis from the Western countries. In particular, the cutaneous lesions of psoriasis seem to be linked of a state of systemic inflammation that is not only definitely at the skin, and favored by a sedentary lifestyle, hyperglycemic diet, and high stress levels. So psoriasis and psyche, the role of stress; psoriasis and lifestyle, the role of sports; psoriasis and diet, the role of insulin resistance. All these factors have to be taken into account. And the patient with psoriasis had a lot of sensation and feelings, shame, anger, worrying, that can be different from men and women, but are always present in these patients. Next, please. So in patients with psoriasis, we can have a stigmatization from the others, and we can have also a low self-esteem, a sexual dysfunction, a depression, a distorted image of his or her own body, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Next one. But not only stress, we have also to consider the lifestyle. Please, you can go on. And the onset is multifactorial, in which we have to consider all the key factors in the balance of the health for these people. The stress, psoriasis can become a stress factor. Psoriasis can be influenced by stress, but to have the psoriasis can be also a stress factor. The next one. So we know very well that we can have distress and eustress. Psoriasis can become a stress factor that it's not eudistress, it's a distress, because eudistress can modify a condition, and also if a stress, the physical condition, can have a positive outcome. For this, we have to consider more variable. The next one has the lifestyle that can be very important for us, for the disease, but also for the immune system and indirectly for the skin. The next one. So in our dermatologic clinic, we have always an integrated approach to this patient with the aim of enriching the studies of medical science with other disciplines and encouraging a multidisciplinary approach. The lifestyle has a role, a crucial role in our patient and in our therapy. Next one, because as demonstrated that physical exercise can improve the health of individual and can prevent some disease. In particular, can prevent the psoriasis, can prevent its morbidity, and can modify the natural history of this skin disease. 1,026 patients in this paper show that vigorous physical activity was associated with a reduced risk of developing psoriasis. Next one is another paper in which they demonstrated that sports may represent a striking non-pharmacological resource in complex patients like the psoriatic one, especially within programs of education and promotion of a healthier lifestyle. Because we have to block the psoriatic march. Psoriasis can be only the first symptom of an internistic condition in which you can find different comorbidities as shown in this slide. So if we block at the first step, maybe we can block all the other comorbidities. Next. And the physical activity show that can be a crucial point. So the lifestyle, the interaction with other actors of the process, and so multidisciplinary activity can block the morbidity of the disease. Next one. We know very well that adiposity is very linked to all these expressions. And if we go to the next slides, we can see what happens in psoriasis, in patients with psoriasis. The majority of these patients have a high BMI, have a condition of obesity and overweight. In this condition, also the morbidity of psoriasis. Next one. They have a very bad food, the food very fat, and for this reason is called Western pathology. Next. And the risk factors for psoriasis are very linked among them and can provoke other comorbidity very high, like cardiovascular disease, linked to genetic factors, shared environmental factors, common inflammatory pathway. The adipose tissue is a network in which all components, skin, heart, and other endocrinological conditions can have a network. Please. And for this reason, it's important to modify all these risk factors, modifying the lifestyle of this patient. That is a part of the therapy that we suggest as dermatologists. Next one. What I show is the difference in adipocytes in the first stage and adipocytes in late stage. So you can understand how the crosstalk among these different these cells can provoke also a high morbidity for the skin by cytokine relapse. And so food and psoriasis is a very important network on which we have to work on these patients, and we have to privilege some ingredients, some environmental habits to reduce the risk factors. Next one, you can see that it's important to reduce the inflammation that is the basis of this pathology. Next one, you can see how we can modify psoriatic patients in SBMI and how the psoriasis can be very modified in its expression. And it's important, we have in our multidisciplinary work in the treatment of psoriasis, we can show that in our unit, next one, we have a lot of activities that we conduct with some project with Professor Iaccarino. We have now started a Pso Wellness project in which we try to put a patient in this different lifestyle. Patients are followed for the entire duration of the program by a multidisciplinary team that consists of 2 dermatologists and nutritionists and an athletic trainer. And this again, they were managed by a diet therapy, and the program high in fiber, low glycemic index, carbohydrates, foods with an antioxidant power, and dermatologic therapy, topical or systemic, based on the dermatologic judgment. Next one. Controlled physical activity, double component. Group physical activity carried out every 2 months with an athletic training along the paths of the Neapolitan city, including mobile station with doctors at the beginning and at the end of the path, and a tourist guide that helps make the journey pleasant for the body and for the mind. Individual physical activity to be performed daily according to the program prescribed by the athletic trainer and adapted to the individual's characteristics and needs. And I show also the paths of Neapolitan city, and I hope that the next time that Karina and the colleague will come, maybe we can do this path all together with the patient to show how we can modify our lifestyle and how a good environment and the good lifestyle can positively influence also our health. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I thank you, Professor Fabrocini, and we should now manage to connect to Professor Colau. Just a second. Okay, so I think this could also be a good idea to involve the faculty, because we are going, our BMIs and our age is shifting, so we should be aware of healthy lifestyles. Yes, so just 1 second that we see if we can connect. Qual è il collegamento? Non risponde. Staccato. Ok, vediamo un attimo. Non lo so, ho detto che voleva aspettare. Aspetta. Just a second. Collegato, eccolo qua. Sì. Okay, we have a video link from Professor Colau, so we can start showing you the video. I would like, okay, just a second. And Professor Colau is the one person who is the UNESCO chair, and she also is responsible for the Health Campus. And Health Campus has been starting an effort at community level to engage the population in activities to stress out the need for disease prevention and adherence to healthy lifestyles. So Health Campus has been busy for the past 10 years in engaging the community throughout our region and also in other Italian cities in this effort, and is also based on voluntary work from many, many volunteers. So this video gives you an idea of the kind of efforts that is put in place when the campus starts. The campus just resumed last July because there have been problems with the pandemics and it could not go in the squares. It just resumed last July. Now we should be ready to connect with Anna Maria. So once she connects, just a second. Yeah, today, no, yesterday, it's open. Today. So, well, whoever stays tomorrow morning, you can visit the open session of the campus. It started 2 days ago. Just a second, we will take a couple of minutes because she should be connecting. Just a second. We see you. Hi Anna Maria. Com'è? Attivare il microfono. Attiva il microfono. Hi Anna Maria, good afternoon.
Can you hear me and can
Yes.
you see me?
Yes, we see you and we hear you.
So did you show the movie with
Yes.
the campus?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you for the video.
Okay, fantastic. So you have seen that now, exactly today, we started again the health campus on the waterfront in Napoli. We open at 3 p.m. and we will continue visiting today, tomorrow, and Saturday. The idea is to offer the population with free consultation and free diagnostic in order to, let's say, help people in starting or continuing prevention of diseases. So for the frail elderly, it's something very helpful because just with the walking or enjoying staying on the waterfront with friends, with the family, they can be took into clinical observation. We have all kinds of visits, from cardiovascular to oncologic to degeneration, so osteoporosis, nutrition, every kind of possible visit that we can do outside the hospital is available. And one of the things we can just organize all together is to implement this methodology in other parts of the country and in other countries, in order to, to help and to try also to reach a larger number of people. I don't exclude to use other structures instead of public squares or public area, because even in some other structures, I don't think churches are appropriate, but for instance, sport buildings or other theaters, cinema, so on, we can organize, some dedicated journey for the elderly. So I'm just here to listen to your questions if you have, or other suggestions if you have.
Thank you. Are there any questions for her on how to set up this huge organizational machine? Which were the challenges that you found when you started? Because you now have a long time experience in setting up this kind of events, but how did you start? Because it is all on voluntary basis.
Yes, everything is on, on a voluntary basis, and at the beginning it was quite difficult because we had to organize with somebody who put the structures into the square. That is quite costly. During the years, we now have finally found a group able to do to build up the hospital with a price that is convenient, because we have some sponsors, some supporters, but money is never enough. So the biggest difficulty is to receive the permissions from the different city manager to use the public square or the public areas. The second major difficulty is to find a partner helping you in building up the hospital. The easiest part is to find the medical staff or the nurse staff voluntary coming to the hospital, because this is our job. So for us, it's quite simple to go and to assist patients, even on a voluntary basis. And then another thing that we modified during the years was the computer-assisted system to log and store all the data of this population. Now we have a big database of more than 10,000 people coming, many of them coming every year to do prevention. So it's quite a big database. And I think that, in the time of big data, even this activity that is just voluntary can be of help in indicating the direction for the third mission to the population.
Anna Maria, do you think to share the anonymized data for analysis, for collaboration, for collaborative purposes?
But we have to sign an agreement, a formal agreement, because the data are property of the Health Campus and the UNESCO chair. So we need to sign a formal agreement in order to, analyze some of the data with one question, a couple of questions, and of course we can do it. But we will not give the entire database to anybody.
Okay, thank you. So there is Mara, a question. Come here, please.
Thank you for the presentation. Amazing what you are doing. Link with this database, and that one question is this integrated with the healthcare data of the patients? Because you said that some of them, they are coming every year or maybe every other year there, but is this going back also to their GP or to their doctor, or they feel like, okay, if I go to the campus, I don't need to go to my GP?
This is a good question. We don't go to the general practitioner directly, but we give the result of all the visits that people do into the Health Campus. So every single consultation go into a final file that we give to the patient, and the patient goes to the general practitioner showing that he was already visited in the Health Campus doing the thyroid, the prostate, or the heart, and whatever he was doing with the result of the examination. So we don't have direct access, but it's mediated by people if they like to do it. It's a sort of a free decision. What I said is that we have a lot of people, except for the past year that we couldn't do the health campus because of the pandemic. But in all the other years, we had people coming every single year to do the prevention during the health campus. So we have people that for 5 to 7 years, they came every year to repeat the same analysis during this manifestation. So we have a long follow-up.
So last question, Anna Maria, are you available for a twinning if there is anyone interested in the future?
Absolutely, yes. Of course, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I think we can thank you for the contribution. Ciao.
Yeah.
So now I can invite Guido and Lorenzo to take over the session.
Thank you, Maddalena, for the invitation, and congratulations for Shafe for this cost action. This is a very, I think, important starting point for the future collaborative efforts and all the work that needs to be done for improving the environments for our citizens in order to age in a better, safer, more responsible and also more active way. And of course, we're not just talking about physical environment, we also have to build up cultural environments where education and digitalization play a great role. And for this reason, I have, I'm very confident that this cost action could be, a pivotal activity for the change that we need to implement. So today we are with my co-moderator Lorenzo Mercurio hosting this round table, and there will be an alternative. Several speakers will come over and show their presentation.
Yes. I just say two words about this cost action that in which I am. I'm brand new in this cost action. So, but it's really interesting, the approach that is about a multidisciplinary approach, and is about integration in disciplines, and so I think that because my field is organization, so it's perfect for me to stay through every aspect of this action, because I think that we have always an organization problem. If we change something, we have to have a new organization after. So it's really interesting for me to work on this action. So we start with again, Maddalena, you have to come back here, and your presentation is Building Local Ecosystem for Innovation, the case of quadruple helix reference site for active and healthy aging.
With a different hat. I am a professor at the Department of Public Health, but I would like to highlight the efforts to support the creation of multidisciplinary ecosystems done by the Reference Site Collaborative Network. What is it? We have been witnessing during the pandemic, but also before, a growing amount of health inequalities and also the growing social needs. And we now have a huge opportunity with the new resilience plans being implemented by all European countries to address complex needs by aligning investments and achieving a triple win. The triple win means we want to improve health outcomes, improve sustainability, and achieve sustainable growth. Now we are going towards a transition, a digital and environmental green transition. So our efforts should be better in line. In Europe, we have core values. Our core public health is a shared value across all European countries, and we are all now trying to reduce health gaps and approach active and healthy aging with a life course site. And we want to also pair the development with health. This is something that can be supported through the digital transformation of health and care. And the European Commission had already started since 2013 a partnership to implement active and healthy aging through the implementation of a quadruple helix of innovation. We had the first call for European reference site in 2013, and it was a call to create bottom-up reference sites supported by the European Commission. 39 reference sites were initially appointed, but there were 2 more calls in 2016 and 2019, and there was a steady increase of reference site appointments until 104 reference sites that were appointed in 2019. And we got together in a network. This is the reference site collaborative network. So it's a network of regions who are making an effort of implementing a quadruple helix of innovation that involves public bodies, academy, industry, and citizen to implement, to transfer to a large scale innovations that are produced by European projects into services for citizens. In Italy, we have been lucky because at about the same time the European Commission was starting the first call for reference site, the Italian government had started a project that was called Mattone Internazionale that was aiming to build a national network of regions to innovate the regional health systems. And that project was progressively built and transformed, and you will hear more by Nicola Scomparin next presentation, was built in a program. Now, what was a project has been transformed into a national program to support the regions to innovate healthcare system. And this is a really strong network that was at the backbone of the regional network we established in Campania reference site. What was the added value of being into the partnership? Remember, we were into the partnership as reference sites in Europe. The added value was that we could contribute to define a shared strategy, a blueprint for the digital transformation of health and care. And we identified only four priorities that were shared among industry, public bodies, citizen, and academic organization to make an effort, and this translated in our reference site into 3 main streams of projects. So we in 10 years we could collect a number of projects that were not random participation to any European project, but they were organized around main streams that were in line with the priorities of the blueprint. And these main streams were health promotion and disease prevention, integrated care and complex needs, and change management, all supported by the digital solutions that we could, and the innovative solutions we could elaborate in European projects. And the participating into international networks was an essential element to try to bridge the gap between pilots and routine care. This is the organizational challenge that we now have to replicate, because we could do it at a small scale in our hospital, collaborating with the medical school, but now the gap is with the community services, with local health agencies, with other hospitals that do not have the opportunity to take advantage of the university. So this is a call also for the university to strengthen their capacity to reach out for the healthcare services. And this is an example of how a service went from pilot to routine care. In 2013, I joined my first European project with Miriam Vollenbroek, who was my friend, longtime friend and coordinator from the Netherlands. She's an excellent coordinator, extraordinarily flexible, because she allowed us to implement the new innovative services in the community, in the churches, because these were services preventing frailty in the community. So we had the opportunity to deploy an education package in our communities, in the churches, to empower older adults to use innovative tools to improve their digital health literacy, to improve their cognitive skills, to improve their eating habits, and to work out. They did adapted physical activity. And we took afterwards, thanks also to the effort of Guido that ended up into the services from Gabriella that you have seen before, we ended up purchasing Telerivalidazione, which is the module for adapted physical activity that is supported by a mobile tool. And this program is now offered at our hospital as a service. So this is an example of good practices, of one of the many, many good practices available at international levels. And through the twinnings and the participation to cost actions and to other initiatives in Europe, we can exchange the good practices that can help to accelerate the implementation of the resilience plans, because resilience plans bring money, but they need good practices, validated good practices that are ready for implementation. I am now the chair of the Reference Site Collaborative Network, and we have among our 2023 strategic objectives to support our members, to support innovation, to facilitate scale-up and facilitate knowledge exchange. So if you apply for the upcoming call to become a reference site, then you will have someone expert who can support you in the exchange of the good practices. So don't quit, because it's time-consuming, it's frustrating, but as Karina always says, because I take inspiration from her approach, you don't quit. So keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddalena. You have put a lot of beef on the fire for the question and answers that will be at the end of the round table. So I think that it's most appropriate that Nicola, that has been already called in by Maddalena before, approaches the podium for giving his presentation. Nicola Scomparini is from the Promise agency, which is the agency that has been established in the national health system. So it's an agency of the Ministry of Health that aims to bring together all the regional health systems and to implement innovation. So I please ask Nicola to please introduce his presentation, whose title is Implementing the Digital Transformation of Health and Care, Enabling the Role of the National Networks. Grazie, Nicola.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Guido and Maddalena, for inviting Promise. And yes, you're right. After this first introduction done by Maddalena, I think that's important how to give you a brief presentation of Promise, that is a consolidated program born from the Progetto Mattone Internazionale, that is a project was born a lot of years ago and at the beginning of 2000, thanks to the Italian Ministry of Health. And its mission is the internationalization of the national health systems. In this slide you can see the three main actors of the network. Promise is not a legal entity, but is a consolidated network of a lot of public bodies. First of all, the Italian Ministry of Health, then the AGENAS, that is the National Agency for Regional Healthcare Services, and then the network of all the Italian and autonomous provinces of Italy. In particular, all the health departments of the regions. So its main objective is and focus is and are the health and social topics. The objectives is to consolidate the network among national and the regional levels for what regard the policy innovation processes in the framework of healthcare systems. Then strengthening the internationalization strategies of all the actors involved, so both the regional and the national level. The third objective is to support and promote action in the framework of affecting European programming. So our wish is to influence the European policies and European strategies according to the needs of the regions. That is not only the policy at the programming levels, but this regards also the needs of all the actors involved. As Maddalena said before, we are trying to make work together inside the regions all the quadruple helix actors, so the policy organizations, the academia, the civil societies, also the private organization, but also the business. And then we are trying to promote a coordinated and competitive national and regional groups of inner network in the frame of participating to the European cause. So we are trying to make emerge the needs of the specific region, try to include according to their needs and their wishes specific topics and thematics, and then ask to the regions to participate together to the project, to the European project. And then, of course, trying to put and promote the health in all policies. The governance is national. The main 6 actors, we can divide it in 3 because we have the first is the main political, because the representative of Promise is from the Italian Ministry of Health, and the policy level of the regions. Then we have the technical operative teams, and then the staff and the team that works day by day regarding all the activities. For what regard the digital transformation of healthcare systems, I would underline 2 important activities we are carrying out regarding this issue. The first one is the lead of Promise of a national group of regions, whose aim is to create a specific ecosystem in the framework of the European Digital Innovation Hub regarding the matching of the supply and demand for digital innovation. We are, along with the Italian regions, a few group of Italian regions, inside a specific group of digital innovation hub, European Digital Innovation Hub, European Digital Innovation Hubs, who decided to underline specific activities in the framework of health and social topics, because you know, nowadays is mainstreaming, green transformation, digital transformation, but we are confident that also health and social issues are very important, and the digital transformation in the health and care system is very important for the future of Europe. So that's why we decided to bring this activity in the framework of this group. And the second one regards a sort of project we are submitting in the framework of the technical support instrument by the end of this month, and is a sort of lighthouse project that presents measures for digital transformation of the healthcare systems. This one is really in line with the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. Everybody knows that the Italian National Resilience Plan has 6 missions. The last one is completely dedicated to health. And so after having read the document and identified few elements regarding particularly the training and giving to the workforce, the health workforce, opportunity to improve their skills, the e-skills, and that's why we decided to submit this project, because we consider important that in the framework of the digital transformation, improving the health workforce skills and also giving them the strategies also for empowering patients in the framework of knowing how to take care of their health is absolutely important for regions, both for the strategies but also for giving population, as we said many times today, health for patients. And that is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicola.
Okay, thank you, Nicola. It's always interesting to know about the Promise activity. Now we have an engineer, so because we are multidisciplinary also here. So we have an engineer, Silvia Rossi, from our University Federico II, and she going to present the name of the presentation is Addressing the Challenges for Technology-Driven Services from Organization to Education and Training. So please, thank you.
So thank you, and I'm happy to be here tonight, even if my presentation will be a little bit different from the other ones, because I'm here only to have a quick overview of what we do actually to have technology, and to have technology then can be adapted and personalized with respect to the final user. So we are indeed a very multidisciplinary team. In our laboratory, the most of us are from engineering and computer science, but we do have also people from psychology, we have medical staff, we have linguistics, so we have a lot of different researchers interacting with us, because we start from the assumption that you cannot provide technology, and you cannot provide technology that is really for people and that can be used by people without having this kind of a multidisciplinary team. So we started actually many years ago with software, so providing, let's say, application and multimedia content that was intended to be adaptable. But then lately we started to investigate another kind of tools that are more for us engaging and that have a different impact on people, that are robots. So we developed robots especially for healthcare. And of course, when we talk about robotics in healthcare, there are a lot of different applications that start from providing real physical assistance to patients, But we focus on a particular set of robots that are called social assistive robotics. So they are not intended to physically interact with patient, but to somehow provide care by the interaction itself. So they are made to interact, to communicate, to provide assistance by verbally or with other kind of device interacting with the user, but not physically assisting them. We have very different kind of robot that can be used in this kind of settings, and we start from the one that are the simplest one. Actually, we saw a lot of robots, the one on the left, in the late 2 years, because of course pandemics raise up this kind of robot that are for telepresence. So we saw a lot of hospitals using this kind of robots to navigate, for example, within particular environments, to avoid that personnel can come in and out of this kind of environments. And then we have, going to the right, the one that are more interesting for us, the so-called social robots, the humanoid robots, that are also the more challenging from a research point of view, because they are the less reliable one, but they are also the one that put a lot of expectation on the user. So of course everyone is, I say, a movie with a robot, so they can expect them to behave like they see in the movie, and when they discover that it's not like that, there can be some disappointment. So our work is to make them effective without creating this kind of disappointment in realizing that a robot is not what we expected. We had a lot of projects dealing with social assistive robotics for aging society, because this kind of robot can provide a lot of help for people that stay, elderly people that stay at house. They are not to be intended as a substitute of caregivers, but as a help of caregivers, because typically a robot is 24/7 without being tired. So it can provide online monitoring, and so relieving the caregiver of a lot of things, and so letting them to concentrate on the real caring without boring with the things that are of routine, like, for example, reminder of taking medicine and stuff like that. So we had a project that just finished before the pandemic, so we were kindly able to test this kind of robot with the people with mild cognitive impairment. So we had this robot in the house of 20 elderly person, and they stayed in their house for a month. So each patient had a robot for a month in their houses, and the robot was intended to interact with them, to entertain them, to remind them medicine, but also to monitor if their behavior was kind of regular, so if they were acting as we expect them, they do. It was really challenging, of course, to have real robot in real houses, but it was also for us very rewarding, because we discovered that all of them at the end kindly appreciate to have this kind of technology that we thought were too much for them, but they were asking actually at the end when we can have it back. So they were all appreciating, also with people with not really a high, let's say, with a high education. So even people with a low level of education enjoyed a lot of interacting, having the robot at their own houses. We keep on using this robot also for other things. For example, we are thinking about how to use for making just stuff like making cognitive assessment. So we thought that using a robot, instead of having this kind of assessment in front of a person, could be like more neutral. So people don't be shy, are not shy, are not in a kind of weird thing to be evaluated by humans. So if they are in front of the robot, they could be less inclined, for example, to lie. So we have, I don't know if
the video is starting. Yeah. So that's an example of an Android robot that's called Pepper, making a psychometric assessment for mild cognitive impairment. So there were some tasks that the robot asks our friend to do and directly evaluate with respect to the performance. So there are very different kind of tasks. For example, also tasks involving drawing some figures, and the robot is able to recognize if the figure was correctly drawn, or the robot asks a sequence of words to be remembered, and then the user have to remember, say the words to the robot. So our idea was to understand how much this kind of tools can be used as support, again, for screening and social rehabilitation. But what we discovered at the end was a kind of funny things by ourselves. So we thought that users may be less inclined to cheat when they were using a robot instead where they interacted with a real human. But we discovered that people do cheat also with robots. So we found out that this guy, for example, was writing down all the words. So in order to remember them at the end of the interaction and tell the right words to the robot. And he was aware that he was cheating because at the end he pulled down the paper and put it in his jacket. So he knew that he was cheating to the robot. So this, of course, put additional challenge for us because it's not as simple as we thought to use a robot for this kind of tasks. Indeed, there is another class of users that I really enjoy a lot to interact with robots, and of course our children. So we had a lot of experimentation in hospital using robots to relieve somehow the anxiety of children, for example, doing a vaccination, but also when they wait, for example, in ER to be visited. So we use a lot of mechanisms for distraction, for keeping them interacting, telling jokes, and using a lot of typical interaction strategy. This is, for example, it's the case of a vaccination center where the children were waiting for the injection, interacting with the robot. And in all these cases, we found that the children were much more relaxed. So even for simple things, having a robot may help. And also, we had another experimentation in ER when we measured actually the cortisol of the children before and after interaction with the robot, and we discovered that it was lower, and the one that had the higher level of cortisol were the one that interacted with a psychologist. So we had a psychologist try to calm them, but the fact that they were wearing probably a white dress actually put them in a higher anxiety with respect to a robot. So for concluding, this kind of research bring us to having a training network. So we have an Marie Curie training network in these topics, so how to build a robot that can be personalized, whose behavior can be personalized with respect to the user. And the network just started this year, so we will have 15 students all over Europe start working on this. And in our consortium, we have also policymakers, because of course dealing with this kind of technology also implies to think about the eventual connection with law, but also ethics. And also we have, of course, psychologists, engineers, and computer scientists. And the idea is at the end of the training network of the 3 years of the project, we will have three integration milestones, and one will be again to build robots for interacting with patients with Alzheimer, and the other 2 with children. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Silvia. I invite you to stay here so that we can also have Maddalena and Nicola here to the table. This is going to be a round table, so if you have a table, now we make it round. And where is Nicola?
Show away.
So we can share the mics for the question. So I think that it has been a very interesting round of presentation because you have introduced the different level of interaction between the different partners that are going to build up this new environment that supposedly will be age-friendly. So I think that there are several questions that are raised, and I would like to start from you, and I think that the cost action and RSCN are two parallel subjects somehow. They run on different level. The RSCN is more a network of private institutions, or at least independent from the European Commission. The cost action, on the other hand, is supported heavily, or more or less heavily, by the European Commission. Do you think that will be a way for these two entities to interact in a more formal way, also using funding from for the Commission to promote better the common needs?
The easiest way is to join consortia. So I think we already are interacting because we have been involved in some projects like Digital Health Europe and other big projects focusing on digital transformation of health and care. As far as formal organization, if SHAFE network is already synergic with the RSCN, so what we can do is we can probably establish common goals on twinning activities, because we can support stakeholders from the cost action to do the twinnings. So this is something we can do because it's our mission, and it's even more welcome if we can frame these twinnings in the quadruple helix. So probably a practical way would be to join forces for the new upcoming call for reference site inside the cost action. And we can support the participants to the cost action to create an embryonic cluster of quadruple helix elements. Because you don't need the region to start with your first quadruple helix. You just need one element for each of the helix to come together and make an effort. Then something small can grow bigger, like we shown in Promise. So I'm sorry Nicola is not here, but this is the way we started. You start small and then you grow stronger.
So if Nicola was here, we would ask him also other questions regarding how is intended by the Promise to promote digital transformation. I mean, there's been a lot of confusion regarding digital transformation of health system, with especially during this pandemic session, where people was, doctors were asking for digital support. And it became WhatsApp, essentially, as a digital support, which is definitely more digital than a telephone call, but probably not the kind of medicine that we were intending for. So I think that also from the examples that Silvia was showing, probably digitalization or innovation in healthcare is something that goes beyond just the simple facilitation of communication between people, but also integrating data, collecting data from the places from the environments where people live. And so I think that the robots are offering, on this sense, a very very important and very powerful, especially, instruments for putting together all the environments where the patient lives. And so, so Nicola, we were talking about the possibility that digitalization goes beyond telemedicine for Promise. Are we intending some more sophisticated level of digitalization beyond the telemedicine that we have been used to?
In Promise, when we talk about digitalization of national and regional health system, we intend something that is not so sophisticated. Because when we talk about digital transformation, we talk about the workforce, so all the people that are able to use this kind of digital instrument, tools, and so on. And the question is, do we have in our regional health systems people able to work day by day with this kind of tools, instruments, programs, softwares, and so on? That's the question we ask each other, and we ask the region to give us a feedback in order to understand which are the projects at regional, national, and particularly European level to talk with our colleagues of Europe. So that's why we try to understand that probably we do not have to, or our mission, not the mission of academia or the mission of business, is to talk with the regional health system representatives and understand which are the needs. And in these years, we have understood that the needs are the workforce. That's why we are stressing the training of e-skills and, of course, giving a baseline of tools to citizens and to patients to understand how these tools and these instruments can support them in their health, also in their daily health, not at the hospital, not at the doctor, by day. So using apps or so on, it's not so easy for a certain target of people. So we have to understand that empowering those people with trainings, but also with just informative information is just enough, probably. So it's, for us, it's not talking about engineeristics. It is not our. It's absolutely important, but it's not our work.
Yes, if I can say something about this, about digital innovation. When Karina said we have two words, collaboration and implementation. I think that collaboration means that we have to really understand the real needs of communities, and this digital innovation has to be guided by these needs. And because these are a kind of service, public service for communities. So collaboration, I think, is in the connection between all the communities of the communities in this kind of networks, starting from engineering, that I think that has to accept all this challenge about the needs. So we have to start from the needs and not from technology, because we know that technology sometimes became a product, and if you have a company that produces technology, the company has the mission is to sell products. So we have to stay I don't know. It's a challenge to understand if this is something that we are only buying or is something that we are projecting with all the components, so clinicians and engineers and politicians and maybe all this kind of stakeholders and in the networks. So this is, I think, the challenge, the most important for us, for this kind of innovation.
Yeah, I would like to comment a little bit on this too. Yeah, you're totally right. We have to start from needs, of course. But sometimes the point of view of the technological side is that the needs when you use technological device are not clear to doctors too. So, for example, when you
depends on which doctor you ask, though.
I mean, referring to the case of the project I was talking before. So there is a device that have to interact with users. So knowing, for example, the kind of fluency of the language or memory impairment, so are things that could be used in personalized the robot. So why not making a robot that is for the specific patient instead of being for general? But then when you have to specify, okay, I have to customize this tool to a patient, and so please try to formalize which are the main issue that I could work on, that's where the problem comes from. Because of course we from the engineering point of view are typically know that we have to formalize things to make a computational model, so we have to make models that work for robots. But then when you try to get all this information from the other side, it's difficult. So the needs are, we need the needs, but we need that the needs are formalized in a way that could be, could have an impact when developing technology. So it's not just talking about the needs, but also how these needs can be reflected in providing technology that really can have an impact. Yeah, yeah. So we should start to have the same language. So right. That's the real issue I see.
What do you mean by formalization? I know
what it was just an example because, for example, they were giving us all the results of their tests for memories, for language, and I say, okay, if I have, for example, to discretize in 2 sets, or say, okay, if you have this score, then it's more, then you have this score is less. So can you try to help me in understand how the things that the robot can do can be adapted with respect to these numbers? Because for them, the numbers are clear, but not for me that I'm from an engineering point of view. Right. So try to understand how all this knowledge that we have can be then used to tune technology and to make them working better.
I think that we are on the verge of a series of revolutions, not just one revolution. I remember when I was buying my first VIC-20, actually the Commodore 64, and it was like this kind of strange guy that was spending times, hours and hours on loading software on this computer, and then after in a very short time everybody had a Commodore 64, and after a while everybody was having more than one computer in their room. So I think that this is going to be the same for robot. We are going to have more than one robot probably in the house. Not necessarily these are going to be anthropomorphic robot. Probably we are going to have a different kind of robot, but nevertheless the concept of having to interact with some technology that is answering back to our input is going to be a common feature in the future. The problem is that when we take a decision as doctors, we never realize how many information we do compute when we take a decision. Not even our training is not based on simple models, but is usually based on complex behavioral patterns, which are very difficult to make and simplify, to code in simplistic mode. So I think that the effort should be dual. We have to start thinking more simple, and you have to start thinking more complex in order to get, some sort of intermediate halfway point of connection in order to have to take advantage of all the information that are coming from these different environments. I would be very interested. I mean, when we take a decision on a patient, we usually, if it is an office, we have to take a decision in 15, 20 minutes of interview. And then there is the whole life of this guy that is interacting with this disease and causing this disease and modifying this disease. And I'm missing all this other information. If I can have all this other information coming to my table when in these 20 minutes I am to take a decision, probably my decision could be better formalized and more respondent and more tailored to the needs of the patient. Of course, this is a completely different vision because I have to, think outside my office, essentially, think and having to imagine or having information regarding the life of the patient. And so, I mean, it's a very big challenge. And I'm sorry that the Professor Tiassi had to leave, because actually we started, and you are aware of this, we started recently a new program, for the medical students, which is medicine and technology, technological medicine, if you like, and where our students are trained both with the classic medical matters, but also with credits on engineering and mathematics and physics. So it's going to be, we are boosting the training of a new generation of medical doctors that will be used to technology. We hope that the bet that we are making will actually produce the expected results.
If I may comment, the measure of our success will be how much we will manage to integrate teaching. Because if we approach this new training as separated entities, so there is two parallel training, one from IT and another one from technology and another one from medical fields, that is not going to make any difference. So the challenge is to us.
A final comment on what Nicola was just saying. The fact that we are, the systems are actually waiting to renew their workforce is actually a very severe backdraw. I mean, something that is a big break on the digital transformation, because I don't think that the rest of the world will wait for us to renew our working force.
Having a vision, like you said before, so including in the classical matters of medicine also specific topics according to the multidisciplinarity, so of course technicians regarding ICTs matters and how including ICTs in medical applications, it's probably the right approach in order to bring that in a sort of political approach and having then a sort of vision also to the policymakers in order to a certain obligation to all the schools, medicine schools, medical universities, trying to make medicine more multidisciplinarity, including ICTs, math and physics topics in medicine. Also not for doctors, but also for others level of medicines like nurses and so on. But just starting is okay.
Just for me, just the last thing. I think that we have to be aware about this. When we project a new system, we change paradigms in this moment through digital innovation, and we change the approach and with the integration and multidisciplinarity in health too. We are changing the identity of people that work. So we need to manage this, because before we have a doctor, we have an engineer, we have an accounting manager. Now in this approach we change also the identity of people in their organizing roles. So we have to manage this part too, because the new medtech doctor, maybe they will be ready for this, but we are old people in Europe, so we have our traditions in professionals too. So we have to manage this change of identity that we need to manage, because without a clear identity, maybe someone couldn't work in the right way. So,
can I ask Karina if she thinks that this kind of educational programs like the medtech that we are trying in could be something that can be exploited by the construction, can be part of the construction, and how would that be formalized? How would that be that we have to formalize this kind of activity?
You can talk into the microphone.
So maybe I see 2 or 3 possibilities. One for sure could be to perhaps have this new type of curriculum formalized, present to the cost members, and we can propose programs, for example, short-term scientific missions, so that the UNINA could go to different universities, present this curriculum, and foster adoption. This is a possibility. I think that probably the first part would be to try to have something to present to members, and then propose to use some of the tools available in the action to support universities who want to do the same, or even to try to understand if other universities have similar programs or some that can be benchmarked as well, and get them enriched. Because I have to say, when I was hearing the discussion before, I fully agree that more than having just multidisciplinary teams, I do think it is essential for people to have new knowledge, and it is very difficult to understand the small details if you don't know about the subject. So even if I have 3 or 4 different people in the room with different knowledge, it's not the same as if I know enough of other disciplines to be able to also understand the challenges. And this is something we need to foster. So I fully agree that education is essential in this. And I am sure this is something we can do, and that can be of interest for other organizations. The same if we can put together environments in this as well, or if we can, so we could think of trying to make this junctions between some different disciplines, and you could pave the way on this by bringing this medtech proposal as the first one.
So it's 6:10. It's actually time to wrap up and to make try to make a small summary of what we have seen today. So I think there is the quest for a lot of new educational models to foster this digital transformation, and probably the examples that have been proposed today with what's the name? The No, Silvia, no, Silvia. No, the program of the Marie Curie program. The Marie Curie program is something that is very powerful instruments for exchanging knowledge between the different actors, different partners among Europe. New medical training programs like the MedTech that we have proposed can actually foster a new generation of workforce that could be that is very expected by the regional systems. They are expecting to have this kind of personnel in order to foster the digital revolution. So I think that the cost action is a lot of can support a lot of this work. I mean, you have great opportunities. So let's hope that the Commission will also participate and fund all of these within the Horizon programs. I'm pretty sure that you know, Karina and Willeke will be, you know, the ambassadors of our request in the Commission.
She sent me a message with a call.
Yeah, in order to, you know, promoting the Commission, the course that can help funding this kind of revolution.
Yes, about education, I think that we need to have education for public administrations and politicians because this is possible if they give up with the administrative compliance culture. This is for me because when we have to change our structural investments. So investments needs control after the results. So it's not only about how to spend, but how to spend in the right way and have results.
So thank you everybody, and I think that we can call it now. Bye-bye.